If your hair changes like this after 70, here's what it means for your health. As we age, our bodies go through countless changes that can affect us in surprising ways. One area that often catches us off guard is our hair. When you hit 70, you might notice a few things about your hair that weren't there before. Perhaps your once lustrous locks are starting to thin out, turn gray, or lose their texture. You might find yourself asking, what does this mean for my health? Well, you're not alone in this curiosity, and believe it or not, these hair changes can provide important clues about your overall well-being. Now, let's dig into this topic. Many people think that hair loss, thinning, or graying is just a cosmetic issue. But did you know that the state of your hair can actually be a reflection of your internal health? That's right. The condition of your hair after 70 can tell you a lot about how your body is functioning. In this video, we'll break down some of the most common changes that happen to your hair after 70 and what they could potentially mean for your health. First, let's talk about the most obvious sign, graying hair. It's something that most of us expect as we get older, but have you ever wondered why it happens? Gray hair happens when the melanin in your hair follicles decreases. Melanin is the pigment responsible for the color of your hair, skin, and eyes. As we age, our bodies naturally produce less of it. While this is a natural part of aging, there could be underlying factors that contribute to premature graying. For example, did you know that stress can play a role in the speed at which your hair grays? According to a study published in the Journal of Aging Research and Clinical Practice, researchers found that stress can accelerate the graying process. While the study didn't find a direct link between stress and melanin production, it did suggest that stress could influence other factors that contribute to the aging process, including hair. That means if you're dealing with chronic stress, your hair might start showing the signs a bit earlier than you expected. So, if your hair starts to lose its color rapidly after 70, it could be an indicator that you're dealing with higher stress levels than you realized. Another factor to consider is your nutrition. As we age, our bodies require different nutrients to stay healthy, and your hair is no exception. If you're not getting enough of the right nutrients, your hair may start to show signs of neglect. A deficiency in certain vitamins, such as vitamin B12, vitamin D, and folic acid, can lead to hair thinning and premature graying. In fact, studies have shown that people with a B12 deficiency often experience hair loss. If you notice your hair thinning or graying more rapidly than usual after 70, it might be time to talk to your doctor about getting your vitamin levels checked. But graying hair isn't the only change that happens to your hair after 70. Another common issue that many older adults face is hair thinning. Thinning hair can occur due to a variety of reasons, and it's more than just a cosmetic concern. As we age, our hair follicles shrink and hair growth slows down. This can lead to a noticeable decrease in hair volume. Additionally, hormonal changes associated with aging, such as a decrease in estrogen for women, can contribute to thinning hair. Thinning hair isn't just a beauty concern, it can be a signal that something's happening inside your body. When you're noticing that your hair is thinning faster than it used to, it's natural to wonder what's going on. While many people accept it as just a part of getting older, thinning hair can sometimes point to something a bit more serious. Take, for instance, androgenetic alopecia. Now, don't let the fancy name throw you off. It's more commonly known as pattern baldness. This is one of the most common types of hair loss in older adults, and the tricky thing is, it's often inherited. If your parents or grandparents experienced thinning hair as they got older, there's a good chance that you might too. But here's the thing, there are other factors that can cause your hair to thin as well. For instance, thyroid problems are another sneaky culprit that could be behind thinning hair. Your thyroid, that butterfly-shaped gland in your neck, plays a huge role in regulating your metabolism. When it's not working properly, whether due to hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism, it can affect everything from your energy levels to, yes, your hair. The same goes for anemia, which happens when your body lacks enough healthy red blood cells to carry oxygen to your tissues. If you're not getting the right nutrients or iron, your hair might be one of the first places that shows the signs. And don't forget about high cholesterol. Research has shown that it might also play a part in thinning hair, especially as you age. So, if you find yourself noticing more hair on your brush or in the shower than usual, don't just brush it off as a normal aging process. But it's not always about health conditions. Sometimes, thinning hair can be linked to medications you're taking. If you've recently started a new medication, especially for high blood pressure, heart disease, or even stress, it could be affecting your hair. Medications like blood thinners or beta blockers have been known to cause hair loss as a side effect. And here's the kicker: sometimes the hair loss isn't immediate. It can take months before you start noticing it, so it's important to stay vigilant. If your hair is thinning at a rate that seems a bit too fast, it's worth having a chat with your healthcare provider. They can help rule out underlying health problems or determine if any medications are the culprit. It's always better to be safe and get to the bottom of things before it gets worse. After all, your hair might just be telling you something important about your health. Now, let's shift focus to a different hair change that can happen as you age: the texture of your hair. You might notice that your hair becomes coarser, drier, or even more brittle. It's a natural part of aging, but it's also a sign of how our body is changing. The texture of our hair is deeply connected to our overall health, so when you start feeling that your hair isn't as smooth or soft as it used to be, it might not just be about getting older. One of the main culprits behind this change is the reduction in oil production in the scalp. As we age, our scalp naturally begins producing less oil, which is essential for keeping our hair moisturized and smooth. Without enough oil, your hair may feel rough or dry. The natural oils that used to evenly coat each strand might not distribute as well as they once did, leaving your hair looking dull and feeling brittle. If you've ever run your fingers through your hair and noticed that it doesn't have that soft bounce anymore, it could be a sign that your scalp isn't doing its job as effectively as it once did. But it's not just about the natural aging process. Your hair's texture can also reflect your overall hydration levels. If you're not drinking enough water or consuming enough healthy fats, it's not just your skin that might be feeling the effects. Your hair can start to suffer too. Dehydration can make your hair feel dry and lifeless. Essential fatty acids found in foods like avocados, nuts, and fish are important for keeping your hair healthy and strong. Without enough of these nutrients, your hair could begin to show signs of wear and tear, even if you're not dealing with stress or other external factors. Let me tell you about a woman named Mary. In her early 70s, she started noticing that her hair, once smooth and shiny, felt rough and coarse. It wasn't just the aging process, she thought, it was something more. When she consulted her doctor, she was advised to look at her hydration and diet. Mary realized that she hadn't been drinking as much water as she used to, and her diet had become a bit lacking in healthy fats. After making a few changes, like adding more water to her daily routine and incorporating omega-3 rich foods, she noticed an improvement in her hair's texture within just a few weeks. It's easy to blame aging for changes like this, but it's important to consider the other factors that might be contributing. Your genetic makeup plays a huge role in how your hair ages. Some people are naturally predisposed to having coarser hair, and for others, their hair may get finer as they age. In some cases, changes in texture can be more dramatic, which might not necessarily be linked to aging alone. That's why it's crucial to keep an eye on your overall health, including your diet and hydration. Your hair is one of the first places your body shows signs of distress, so if you're noticing significant changes in your hair texture, it's worth investigating further. You might discover that your hair is trying to tell you something important about your health, and addressing these issues early on can make a world of difference. If you take care of your body, your hair might just reward you by feeling soft and smooth once again. Lastly, let's not forget about hair loss, which is one of the most common concerns after 70. It's something that many of us notice as we grow older, especially after the age of 70. While it's completely natural to lose some hair over time, excessive shedding can raise a red flag. Imagine this: one day you look at your pillow and find more hair than usual, or you run your fingers through your hair and notice a handful of strands left behind. For many, this sudden increase in hair loss can be concerning. After all, hair is more than just strands of keratin on our head, it's a part of our identity. So, what's behind this thinning or shedding, and what should we be worried about? Let's break it down. As you age, some degree of hair loss is completely normal. Your hair cycles through different phases, and as you get older, the growth phase may shorten and hair follicles can shrink, leading to thinner strands. This process can vary from person to person, and some people may notice a gradual thinning of hair, while others may experience more noticeable hair loss. But here's the catch: if your hair is shedding more than usual, it could point to something more than just the natural aging process. And while this might be an uncomfortable reality for many, it's important to pay attention to your body's signals. Take the case of Jennifer, for instance. She was in her early 70s when she started noticing more and more hair falling out. Initially, she thought it was just part of the aging process, but soon it became more noticeable. Her hair was thinning rapidly, and she felt alarmed. After visiting her doctor, Jennifer learned that the excess hair loss was linked to an autoimmune condition called alopecia areata. In this condition, the immune system mistakenly attacks the hair follicles, causing hair to fall out in patches. Jennifer's situation was a stark reminder that sometimes hair loss can be more than just old age, it could be tied to an underlying health issue. But Jennifer's story isn't the only one. Hair loss can stem from a variety of causes. Autoimmune diseases like alopecia areata are one example, but there are also other conditions that could contribute. Thyroid problems, for instance, are notorious for causing hair thinning. Hypothyroidism, where the thyroid doesn't produce enough hormones, can slow down the body's processes, including hair growth. On the other hand, hyperthyroidism, where the thyroid is overactive, can also disrupt your hair growth cycle. So, if you're noticing more hair loss than usual, it might be worth checking in with your doctor to see if your thyroid is functioning properly. Another common culprit behind hair loss is hormonal imbalances. As we age, the levels of certain hormones, such as estrogen and testosterone, fluctuate. In women, a drop in estrogen levels during menopause can lead to thinner hair, especially around the temples and crown. Similarly, an imbalance in androgens, male hormones, which women also have, can cause hair thinning or even bald spots. Hormonal shifts like these are often temporary, but they can still be distressing, especially if you're not expecting them. Let's not forget about nutritional deficiencies either. Our hair is a reflection of the nutrients we consume. If you're not getting enough vitamins or minerals, especially iron, vitamin D, or biotin, your hair could begin to show signs of weakness. Iron deficiency, for example, can lead to anemia, which often manifests as thinning hair. If your diet isn't rich in these essential nutrients, it's time to consider adding more variety, whether it's through food or supplements. Remember, a balanced diet goes a long way in keeping your hair healthy. Lastly, stress is one of the sneaky villains behind excessive hair shedding. We've all heard of stress hair loss, and it's real. When your body goes through physical or emotional stress, it can trigger a condition called telogen effluvium, where hair follicles enter a resting phase and hair falls out. This type of hair loss is usually temporary, but if stress becomes chronic, it could lead to longer-term thinning. In any case, if you find that you're losing more hair than usual, don't just brush it off as a normal part of aging. It's essential to take a step back and evaluate any potential underlying health conditions. Whether it's an autoimmune disorder, hormonal imbalance, nutritional deficiency, or stress, there are solutions to help manage hair loss. And remember, there's no shame in seeking professional advice. After all, your health and your hair are worth the investment. If your hair is changing after 70, don't ignore the signs. Your hair might not just be changing due to the natural aging process, it could be signaling something important about your health. Whether it's graying hair, thinning hair, a change in texture, or hair loss, paying attention to these changes can help you maintain better health and catch potential health problems early. Remember, your hair is more than just a cosmetic feature, it's a reflection of your internal health, and it deserves the attention it's giving you. So, next time you notice a change in your hair, don't just brush it off as a sign of getting older. Take a moment to consider the bigger picture. If your hair is changing in ways that seem unusual or rapid, it's worth discussing with a healthcare professional to make sure your health is on the right track. After all, a healthy head of hair often starts with a healthy body.